All right, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday night. Welcome to NXT. The live event is about to start, so we're waiting for that to come in. But in the meantime, we've got quite an impressive card tonight. And here we go. Things are getting started right now. Io Sky is coming to visit. Joe Hendry's coming to visit. We've got a big tag match tonight. Got the tag titles on the line. Got the North American title on the line. And they've also advertised that Tony D'Angelo and Stax are going to be face-to-face in the ring, not out in the Las Vegas desert threatening to bury each other in a remote, shallow grave. So, once again, welcome to Marked by Wrestling, where being a mark just means you believe, and believing makes wrestling better. And we are through the constellations, and NXT is starting off. We're going to get a recap of Stand and Deliver. It looks like Trick Williams, first guy we see who made an appearance in TNA just a few days ago, and threw hands on Joe Hendry. And Shawn Michaels online has invited Joe Hendry to come to NXT to face Trick. To confront Trick. So we'll see where it comes tonight. George, good to see you. Dawsey, welcome back. Justin, good to see you as well. We're gonna do some fun stuff tonight. We're gonna see what NXT has to bring tonight. The women's division just getting crazy because 2 or 3 of them are coming up to Raw. And here's a recap of Joe Hendry last week. And unbelievable. Did not expect to see him show up in NXT again after showing up at WrestleMania. He's getting a lot of mileage out of the WrestleMania shirt, which I can't say I blame him. Oh boy. I wonder if they'll show the footage from TNA or not to put over TNA. But Obafemi and Joe Hendry staring at each other, but Trick will not be ignored. Yeah, 5 nights later at Rebellion. Are they going to show? Oh, they're showing the footage from Rebellion. How cool is that? Yep. Joe Hendry victorious in his title defense, showing him a WrestleMania. And then boom, there's Trick to ruin the party. Yeah, Justin, they're showing that footage right now. It's pretty wild to see see NXT showing TNA footage on their show. So it's a brave new world we're in. But we're back in Orlando. It's the voice of Vic Joseph. We see who we got with him. I'm curious if Corey is there or not. Corey Graves just announced today he and Carmella are expecting again their second child. So congratulations to Corey Graves and Carmella. And Booker is in the house as well. Let's see. Justin, did I see the Jeff Hardy Willow meme? Was that when he was dancing to Kendrick? Because talk about things you never thought you'd see in 2025. Oh, Joe's here already? Okay, he's here. Get ready for the close-up. I hope he never loses a tooth, because that entrance is never going to hit the same way, the way he goes there. So, Joe Hendry starting off NXT. Yeah, but the Jeff Hardy thing was ridiculous. George, what do you got here, man? Pray for me. I just went to see my mother because she's in hospice and she's not doing well. I'm sorry to hear that, George, man. I'll be praying for you guys. Chat, if you guys are praying people, pray for George and his mom. Lost my mom a couple of years ago. And these things are never easy. So glad you're with us, and we'll try to keep it light tonight. Have a good time. Also, guys, if you've got the time tonight, A and B Convos will be joining me after NXT. We're going to do a special live just talking about the new Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker faction, and its similarities to a former those camera zooms, man, they get me every time. And there's similarities to Paul Heyman's former group in the early 90s, the Dangerous Alliance, and just talking anybody else we might want to see join up in that, if any at all. We'll see what happens. Crowd chanting, "We believe." So yeah, NXT is a great spot for Joe Hendry. I gotta say, they eat it up. What a 12-month period Joe Hendry has had, by the way. It's hard to believe he was at WrestleMania. Smattering of applause for TNA Rebellion. Whoop that trick is such a funny phrase because it can mean such a variety of things. Joe says, I'm gonna whoop that trick. Cross the line, huh? Joe Hendry's telling everybody that Trick has changed. Now, we do have, I think, Battleground or the next NXT show coming up in May. So I wonder if we'll get Joe and Trick there. We believe chance coming in. Thank you, Sophie. It fits nice. It breathes nice. I'll be honest here. I low-key expected Joe Hendry to get interrupted by now, but they're letting him say his piece. Joe Hendry is Scottish, I believe. I know he's European. Sometimes I get Scottish and Irish mixed up, but I'm pretty sure he's Scottish. Scottish. Thank you for confirming, Dossie. Okay. Joe getting a little red in the face and demanding Trick arrive, but that don't look like Trick who's coming. Is Dark State's here. Hold on now. This is interesting. Okay, Joe said you ain't even getting in the ring yet. He started throwing hands. But it's that numbers game, as JR would say, that numbers game. I don't know what the accent that was. That's not a JR. Oh, no, they're going to hit him with the powerbomb already? Wow. Wow. That's very trusting by TNA. Man. Calls out Trick Williams, gets Dark State instead. That is not doing a lot for Trick Williams to beat the allegations of having a alliance with Dark State, even though I thought we were past that. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you. EO Sky's in the house tonight. Well, she's got her Goodyear blimp clothes on. I'll have your back tonight, you. Whatever gets me one step closer to that NXT Women's Championship. The Juggernaut and the TS concept. Sky. I like the sound of that. Dude, EO's great, man. Hey, Anthony. Good to see you, man. Glad you're here. We'll see what we've got here. So we got EO Sky and Jordan Grace versus Julia and Roxanne Perez tonight. If they give that match some time, they're going to have some fun. Who we have next? What's that, Lexus? Yeah. Lexus King was his North American title match against Ricky Saints. So we'll see what we've got here with a title defense. All right. Man, the end of May is going to be an interesting weekend. They've got Saturday night's main event on the 24th and then NXT Battleground on the 25th. So be a lot of wrestling available to watch that weekend as well. It's also the weekend of Marked by Wrestling's marriage anniversary. So good times all around. But before we get to looking that far ahead, we're only 2 weeks away from Backlash. Isn't that crazy? Like we just got here. It's a pretty quick build. But also, you know, Backlash always seems to come in a little hot right after WrestleMania. I've not done any putting up with. I've had 16 years of marital bliss. I'm the one with all this stuff in the background. So Mrs. Marked by Wrestling has done all the putting up with. So we know who's putting up with who, but thank you so much. Yeah, Backlash did come quickly, Anthony. I mean, we've got, but also at the same time, I was thinking about that today because I saw someone else. That was something someone else said, and it looks like we've got almost 4 matches already planned just from Raw last night, and we're probably settling back into that 5-match show format that Triple H likes to do outside of shows like WrestleMania and SummerSlam and stuff. So I imagine they are already, I think that card's almost already solidified because you've got Randy and Cena. You've got probably Jey Uso and Logan Paul. You've probably got Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria, Gunther and Pat McAfee. And then I wonder if we'll get a tag match with like Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer maybe against Roxanne and Julia, as they've been having battles every week. But who knows? Who knows what that 5th match will be? But it looks like they kind of got already 4 they're aiming towards. So we'll see what happens. George, I'm intrigued in the Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria, and I can see Bayley costing Becky Lynch. Yeah, Bayley's definitely not done in that story for sure. I wonder what she will. I wonder when she'll come back again. Justin asked, "How did you feel about last night?" I really thought it was a solid show. I mean, I think WWE's putting on good shows right now. I'm having a little bit of a problem with the crowds lately, the Raw and SmackDown and PLE crowds on the main roster, because last night Seth Rollins threatens Sami Zayn, right? And he basically, you know, makes him this temptation, this offer of like, leave Raw, go to SmackDown, and Paul Heyman will try to get you the number 1 contendership to the WWE title. But you have to leave. And, you know, Sami tells him where he can go. And the crowd cheers for that. They cheer for Sami's defiance. But then he gets jumped by Braun Breaker, and the crowd starts cheering Braun Breaker. So it's like the crowd can't decide who they want to be and who they want to back. And when there's clearly heels involved. So it's kind of annoying. I don't love that part. But the things that the performers are doing, I'm really enjoying. But the fans are kind of on my nerves. Honestly, ever since they started cheering for heel Cena, who has been directly insulting them, I've been having some impatient feelings with WWE crowds. We'll see what happens. Okay, Carmen and Gigi and Tatum backstage. He's coming to interview. Oh, Ashanti coming to. Ashanti just said he got a match for Carmen against Sol Ruca. When did Ashante Adonis turn into Ike Turner? Because he's about to get smacked. Carmen gonna take that ninja sword and slice him up 1 or 2 times. All right, Sergeant Pillman in the house. Lexus King ready for action for the North American title. All right, who do you guys have? Ricky Saints or Lexus King? I mean, I feel like this might be unanimous, but yeah. Justin, you felt like the Sammy and Seth segment was the Batista thumbs down moment. I feel that. I almost felt like that was the Orton thumbs down moment because the bad guys were the ones doing it. But yeah, I totally see that. And I'm curious what the long game will be there. They definitely did a lot of world title talk about Sammy last night, which really has my interest piqued as to, where he will go from there. We'll see what happens. All right. Here comes Ricky, the champion. Everybody's calling for Ricky so far. I'm calling for Ricky as well. Although Justin did specify Ricky by DQ. T-Man, if I didn't say hi, welcome to the chat. T-Man in here saying Naomi needs to be the next women's champ. I don't disagree with you. She's doing some incredible work, albeit her jumping of Jade on Friday. She could have landed some of those punches better, but that was just one little thing. Her overall presentation's been great. Also, let's see. Yeah, Anthony's saying Naomi and Nia versus Tiff and Jade. I think we're going to get that match. We may get that match as soon as Friday, though. I'm curious if that actually makes the Backlash card. Saint still got his vest on. Drop kick off the second rope. I got to say, so Saints works really hard in the ring. You can see him putting that effort in as trying to make out what the crowd is chanting, but I can't hear it. Saints still ain't took his vest off yet. But when Ricky Saints gets that like I'm fired up face, he doesn't look intimidating to me, you know what I mean? Oh man, he hit the camcorder taunt on Lexus King. We'll shout out to the Hollywood Blondes back in the day, Brian Pillman Sr. and stunning Steve Austin, who we'll talk a little bit about in the Paul Heyman show after NXT tonight. Man. Justin asked, do you think the Heyman faction needs a tag team? So I will give my thoughts on that after the show tonight. I'm gonna riff on what I think that faction should do, and what that thing can look like. So yeah, please join us. We'll be in another link. I'll get that link for us for the end of the show and put it in the chat for you guys to hop over there. But at 7:15, 15 minutes after NXT goes off the air, we'll go live for that with A&B Combos live on Marked by Wrestling. They'll be joining in and we'll be discussing that together. So yeah, absolutely, we will talk that over. So you guys hop on over if you've got a few extra minutes. We'll talk through all that. Man, oh man. Yeah, so if you didn't join us last week or you didn't see NXT last week, Lexus King no longer holds the Heritage Cup. Noam Dar returned and won the Heritage Cup, and he is now the Heritage Cup champion. Not sure what Lexus was going for there. Like he mule kicked nobody. You guys might be in picture at this point. I'm not sure. But yeah, just working things over. So, what do you guys think? Here's my question. What do you guys think Cody will do next? Because, last time he came up short, it was 2 WrestleManias ago. He lost to Roman, and then he did that feud with Brock for a while. Then he teamed with Jay against the Judgment Day, and then came back around and won the Rumble, and then was back against Roman again in the title picture. But at this point, I'm curious what he'll do. George thinks Cody's going to get his rematch against John Cena. Okay, you think that'll be immediately? Do you think that you think that'll be like at SummerSlam? You think they'll do that sooner rather than later, George? I do think the long-term plan is for Cody to get back in the ring with Cena and right that wrong, so to speak. But I'm just curious how soon they'll do it. Justin, I did not see Gigi and Paxley at Rebellion. I did not see Rebellion. I heard them at it though, and I'm telling you, Mo, I missed out because they're a fun tag team to win. So they're a fun tag team to watch. I mean, they do win from time to time as well, but yeah. Okay, so George, you think SummerSlam? Okay, I mean, I think that there's still a clear road for that. Once we get past Backlash, who knows what's going to be in store for Cena, and SummerSlam will be a 2-night event this year for the first time. So we'll have to see, what it brings. We'll have to see what it brings. One and all, welcome the Teflon Don. Don't care if you John Wick use an Afro pick or if you sick Lakers at 5. How you doing, Stephen, from your mod father? Doing great, man. Doing well. Trying to stay studied up, trying to stay smart, and enjoying NXT on a lovely Tuesday night. How are you doing, man? Anthony, you're right. Money in the bank as well. As a matter of fact, whoever's defending that title at SummerSlam, if it is Cena at that point, or, if it's Orton or somebody else, is going to have to contend with a briefcase holder waiting in the wings. And I'm curious who might be that briefcase holder. At the beginning of the year, I predicted it was going to be Mello, but, there's any number of guys who could hold it at this point. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. Because you can take 2 different approaches there. You can go Mellow, or your mid-carder guy who's going to use that briefcase to raise up to that level. Or you could have a main eventer, holding that case as well, a Seth Rollins or a Gunther. Although it would be really messed up for Gunther to hold the briefcase because I feel like that's so what's the word? Such an antithesis for what Gunther believes a wrestler should be. So in some ways, that's actually kind of intriguing, but I feel like it goes against everything he is. Man, that was a low-hanging swanton. Such a dive on that swanton. There's not a lot of air on it by Alexis King. I got to say this, and I'm not, Justin, I don't know when the WWE draft is. I honestly haven't heard any confirmation that they're actually going to do it. Now, the more I think about it, the more I'm just hearing fans talk about it, like it's an assumption. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Give me just a second, y'all. Now, something interesting to me, an observation about Lexis King, especially with his DNA, like being Brian Pillman's kid. I don't know, man, what a slam there by Ricky Saints. Something interesting about Ricky Saints, and it's been a good back and forth match. Something interesting about Lexis King, and you guys may not have seen a lot of Brian Pillman back in the day, but there's almost like 2 Brian Pillmans. There was the early 90s Brian Pillman before his accident, basically, before his car accident. And then post-car accident, Brian Pillman, who was the guy that you saw in WWF, the guy you saw in the Hart Foundation, right before he passed away. And early Brian Pillman was a high flyer. Like he was, he He was a Shelton Benjamin. He was a not quite a Rey Mysterio, but like he was a cruiserweight and he could go. He was a almost a Rey Fenix kind of like he could just fly all over the place, right? And then he was a much more grounded performer once he got in his accident because he had sustained an ankle injury that really made him. And Ricky retains, hits that Rochambeau to finish Lexus King. And he was a much more, had to change his whole style, Brian Pillman did. And Lexus King seems to wrestle like post-accident Pillman. And what's wild is he seems like thicker than Pillman ever was. Seeing him do that swanton off the top is not it's not a criticism. Like I think it's just the way his body is, you know. And I think some people, myself included, might be a little unfair to Lexus King, expecting to see that younger Brian Pillman in him, but he's actually starting off as the later Brian Pillman in the way he approaches things, which is not bad. I mean, Pillman was great at all of his career. He was just different, and he had to be different. But he doesn't have that leaner frame that early Pillman had. So I think I need to just kind of reorient my expectation. We have a segment here with the culling right now. Ricky Saints is an in-ring performer, definitely growing on me too, T-Man. And his interviews, it kind of depends on who he's interacting with to me. But I'm liking him more and more. Hopefully they can get him away from all the ex-AEW guys pretty soon, because that's all they seem to be doing with Ricky. Okay. Sean Spears is just divvying out work for the culling to do. Nah, you don't need to be sending the culling after Hank and Tank. They're going to lose. And he's sending Izzy after Sol Ruka as well. Well, what you going to do, Sean? You going to knock on Obafemi's door? What you going to do? Man, there were a lot of nut shots at WrestleMania weekend. Thank you, Dossie. This gets me every single time. The culling brought to you by Progressive. The insurance sponsors just taking you out. The best part was when they had the insurance sponsoring the D'Angelo family. Well, and clearly they're like talking about pulling a mob hit. This mob hit brought to you by bundling your insurance package. You can cover burials out in the desert or drownings in the river. Just you can bundle river and desert all into one policy. Brought to you by Progressive. Now, if they could bring Flo into the NXT arena, that'd be wild. I want to believe in the culling. It's just we're in a season of wrestling right now where there's just a lot of factions. There's just a lot. And even on every show, it feels like mainly a lot of teams on SmackDown, but there's multiple factions on Raw. There's multiple factions on NXT, and not everybody can be dominant. So anyway, let's see what we got here. We're still on ads. So yeah, we are building quickly toward Backlash on the main roster. And so that'll be at the beginning of May on the 10th. And then 2 weeks after that will be Saturday night's main event. And then the day after Saturday night's main event, we'll have NXT Battleground. So at least we're going to have 3 weeks or so to build the Battleground card. But they're doing basically 2 weeks from Mania or 3 weeks from Mania is Backlash, and then 2 weeks to Saturday night's main event. And then Saturday night's main event. Hold on. Then 2 weeks from Saturday night's main event is Money in the Bank. This summer is going to be rushed, or this springtime. This spring into summer is rushed. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it. Because, yeah, Backlash May 10th. Saturday night's main event, May 24th. And then June 7th is Money in the Bank. Whew, boy. What comes after Money in the Bank? Because SummerSlam's not till August. I think, are they going to Saudi Arabia in July? I can't remember. But yeah, we're going to be in for some rushed TV, you guys. And I think we just need to be prepared for it. I don't necessarily like criticize that, but man, the 2025 WWE PLE calendar has just been weird this year because they didn't really do anything in January, did they? Did they do a Saturday night's main? No, they did a Saturday night's main event in January, didn't they? Because then they did the Royal Rumble at the beginning of February. They did Elimination Chamber at the beginning of March, and then they had almost a whole like a month and a half between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, and now it's like 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It's nutty. Yeah, so there's rumors. I see George saying that Liv Morgan's going to take some time off to film a movie. Yeah, there were a lot of rumors about Liv Morgan's the quality of the movie that she's doing. Like they're rumoring that it could really be a launching pad for her. Either it's a big opportunity, or she's going to be a big focus, or both. I'm not sure. But that's led to some wild speculation. I don't know anything other than they're saying it's a big deal. Justin, dude, you're so on it. Putting the Lucha Bros on Saturday night's main event would be a gold mine of a decision. That's a perfect place to debut them for a WWE crowd because you get that sweet NBC and Peacock viewership as well. And yeah, you can just make them stars. I believe in that. Anthony says 2 PLEs a month. It seems like it does kind of seem like that, and maybe they're thinking about that because you've got that happening, and then if they're going to be 5 match shows each time, you can get the bigger roster on bigger shows more if they're more frequent. I don't know. Just trying to find the positive in that. Well, it is time for the family, or what remains of it. Tony D'Angelo looks like he did the create an entrance and used the lighting from Stephanie Vaquer, the red and black. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think about Tony D'Angelo's prospects at the main roster? Tony D'Angelo, I personally, and this is not a criticism, it's just how I see them. I see Tony D'Angelo and Andre Chase kind of in the same boat. I feel like their gimmicks are NXT gimmicks. They're both really talented, but I can't see their gimmicks working on the main roster. I respect the NXT faithful, though. A lesser crowd would be wetting him already.
I stepped in that end. And it didn't matter if it was on the schoolyard, it didn't matter if it was in the streets.
Tony basically saying he always had Stax' back, fighting his battles for him and stuff. Getting some polite golf applause for his speech.
He always wanted to lead the band. down. Stacks had my back. When I got locked up, Stacks stepped in and he handled business. When I got hurt, he stepped in and handled business. He showed the world why he was deserving to be on the ball. But at the same time,
George, you can see Tony on the main roster. Okay. I think I'd like this promo more if they were actually face to face saying this right now. I feel like Tony could benefit more from working off of someone saying this.
Now, Stacks, you're going to pay for your sins. Now, my whole family's in disarray. Nobody's heard from Luca. Rizzo's in hiding.
Nobody's heard from Luca.
Tony,
Yeah, Luca's buried in the desert.
Tony up here. I was thinking about coming out there, standing across from you, with Manson lamps staring back at me. Then I thought, it's not what they're dying.
If Stax is via satellite, why did he send security to stand in the aisleway?
Tony, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. I'm sick of taking your orders. You were getting soft. You talk about this pledge, this code you live by. You're making decisions that allow people like the Dog State to think they can push us around. You aren't capable of beating us.
You're not capable of leading anymore. Okay.
You were never going to leave the damn names. You left it to me. I had to take the reins myself. Put you in your place. And we'll get to better than anyone. You're shaking. Your underboss, best friend, gone. Luca, gone. And then you send Rizzo into hiding. You're losing more power every day. I'll be thinking of you, son. What's next? Can I even trust my own family? Let's be real. You don't even know who you can trust right now.
You don't know who you can trust. All the plants are like, I mean, okay. So security attacked him.
Sit downs. There's going to be no talks. Influence Stacks to take it.
What'd you guys think of that segment? It's just all right. Well, Zaruka's here backstage. As Solruka taking on Carmen Petrovich next when we come back from the break. Justin says, you think if Tony on the main roster, his gimmick feels like the FBI. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. The old full-blooded Italians. I feel that. There was a good segment. T-Man got a question for everybody. How do you feel about Trick Williams going after the TNA Championship? Listen, we have talked about we've talked about this. Actually, I want to put over the AMB Combos Wrestling podcast. There's an episode we did about the Forbidden Door where we were mainly talking about, you know, the hypothetical situation of if WWE and AEW could ever work together. But we're starting to see that more with TNA and WWE. I mean, we saw Joe Hendry on WrestleMania, which is just wild. I see A and B in the house now. Good to see you guys. Let's go. What up, everybody in the chat? A and B, thank you for being here. Was just talking about you, entering in like Joe Hendry. So with Trick, I think Trick absolutely should go for the TNA championship. And I think there would be an excellent opportunity there, because the one thing that's been missing so far from this relationship between TNA and WWE is a TNA talent holding a WWE title or a WWE talent holding a TNA title. And what I think could be a lot of fun, because honestly, what I think is happening here is eventually TNA is going to use this this partnership. They've already done it with Jordan Grace, but they're using this partnership to scout talent and bring them over to WWE. If they could find a way to keep a signing under wraps, like if they were actually able to sign Joe Hendry during this partnership, I wouldn't announce it. And then I would have Joe Hendry win the NXT title and say, I'm taking it back to TNA. And behind closed doors, he's already a WWE talent, but we don't know that. And I say Joe Hendry, but somebody like that. I think it would be a great time to have, or if one of the NXT performers like moves over to TNA, like we just saw Indy Hartwell show up in TNA, and she's a TNA's talent now. If they could have a seamless transition of one of those performers going to the other company without the audience knowing that there's a contract change, having them win a title, I think that would be awesome, because that's the one thing missing. And I don't blame them for not pulling the trigger on it, because it's a real dicey proposition to trust your title in the hands of someone who doesn't work for you technically. So if they could somehow keep that a secret, it would be wild. And I'd be all for it, but that's me. So yeah, A and B combos are here. Party is getting underway now. Now that the whole family's here. We stay hydrated at Mark by Wrestling, keep our energy up and keep our voice up as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see this women's North American title defense as well. Sol Ruca, I mean, she's an up and comer, man. I don't want to see her go to the main roster right away. I feel like the way the top women in NXT are getting over on the main roster already, Roxanne, Julia, Stephanie, I feel like all of them are probably coming up real fast. At some point, you're going to want to move your Sol Rucas and your Jada Parkers. And Jordan Grace, I imagine she can get a run with the title too. I'd like to see all of them move up to the actual title picture too, not just the mid-card title, although I'm really glad Sol Ruca is getting a run with it now, and that they didn't skip over that. So, and since they're not seeming to reintroduce the women's tag titles to NXT, then ultimately we're going to probably get an emotional breakup between Sol Ruca and Zarya one of these days. And they show some real affection for each other. I don't know if you guys noticed in that ladder match the way Zarya gave Sol the little sun's getting real low, big guy kind of moment. And I was like, what am I watching? So they definitely have something there with their partnership, which obviously is going to be money once they actually are on opposite sides of the ring. But I'm not in a hurry to get there, but I could see it coming at some point. Yeah, recap of the returning Noam Dar winning the Heritage Cup last week. So now Lexus King has no Heritage Cup. And hey, Metaphor. Oh, the family back together. Uh-oh. Lash and Jakara about to have a breakup talk with Metaphor, I think.
We were in Saudi. We had an opportunity at the WWE with the tag team championship. And Aura, he's been killing it the ball. But honestly, Aura's always been known. It's time for Aura to be Aura's main man on a ball. Yeah. And Miss Jackson, my sister, it's time for you to be up your edge. And me, it's time for me to lash out and do my thing.
Wash, you're right. What made this group special is you always took care of our individual needs. And if it means that we need to go our separate ways to be the stars that we know we are. And that's the move.
I see that made.
Last time.
And no matter what, always
Always. I'm so proud of everything we've done.
Wow. You never see that in wrestling. Metaphor just broke up amicably. Wow. Metaphor is no more. And no heel turns. They just all decided to go their separate ways. And Lash made it sound like her and Jakara are going separate ways too. Who's that in the front row? There's no name cards here. They put the camera on them like they're supposed to be somebody. Oh, gosh. Well, that's interesting. I'm curious. I'm curious if the ladies are going to stay together as a team or if they're going single. I like them as a team too. But you know what? There were already a lot of factions. And honestly, the ladies did their best work when the rest of the group wasn't doing anything. I mean, that's just my take on it. And you never really get to see factions just decide to go their separate ways without somebody turning on them. So at least they were cool about it. They didn't lose a match. They didn't get turned. They didn't get heel turned. So, all right. So Soul using the belt like a towel there. Anyway, Soul also the speed champion, the women's speed champion right now. Sold 2 belts. All right, I hate to treat it like a formality, but Soul and Carmen, throw in your predictions. I got Soul all day, every day. Oh man, leg kicks by Carmen. George, you got Soul. Okay. Boom, X Factor. All right, Soul about to try something. Whoa! Moonsault to the outside, got nowhere, and Soul and Zarya caught her. Gave her an old good game and threw her back in the ring. Cartwheel, leg sweep misses. Applause from the crowd. T-Man, I think you're right about that. Maybe as a way of keeping their relationship as a faction safe, just in case they reunite. Kind of like when they, I mean, this is a bad example now, but like when they split the New Day with the draft, they didn't heel turn then, but like kind of keeping it in their back pocket. Granted, not a good example now since Kofi and Woods have turned heel and Big E's not even wrestling anymore, but I could see that being a thing. They could still have each other's back if they need to in the future, if they need to dust them off for something as a group. Yeah. I do like Carmen's offense, like that, just like leg sweep to like drop her down to the turnbuckle. Like it's very creative offense to achieve things that wrestlers just normally do, you know? You don't see people get their legs, shout out to Owen Hart, their legs kicked out from under their legs. All right, just throwing blows now. Kick to the midsection. Chop by Ruka. I think Ashante and Carmen are going to split up. For sure, man. Ashante's been getting too familiar. Springboard flying forearms from Sol Ruka. Then Avalanche in the corner. What's she got now? Man, a backpack stunner, they call it. All right, running those ropes. Sol Ruka, knee to the face. Be setting up for the Soul Snatcher. Oh! Pushes her onto the ropes, and she crotches the ropes and then out to the outside. Zarya keeping a little bit of a distance. Oh, reversal. That was a quick reversal there by Sol Ruka to get the cover for 2. Nope. Oh, can we get a Soul Snatcher? Boom, got her. She got all of that. That'll do it. 1, 2, and it's elementary. Whew, man. When that Soul Snatcher looks good, it looks good. It's one of the best looking finishers in wrestling right now. Carmen holding her face. I wonder if she ate canvas hard enough because, yeah, Carmen did not really get her hands down, but you get a good look at her face during the cover. She's not bleeding or anything, at least. JR, welcome, man. Welcome back to the chat. Justin with the great observation here. It's funny, Ashante and B-Fab are the only hit row left. Carmen's like, oh! Kick in the face, you Booker. What the hell? I think you just got dumped, Ashante. Oh, here comes the one. See, this is when you chant one more time, WWE fans. That's when you chant one more time. Man, she kicked the Ike Turner right out of him, man. It was nasty. Trick Williams, shirtless again. He's gone back to that look. Walking around backstage as we go to commercial. All right. I don't know how they came up with that. She came up with that finisher, T-Man. Funny you should mention that. Jake the Snake Roberts. One of the best finishes in wrestling history. If you'll permit me for just a second. Time for a history lesson with a visual aid. Jake the Snake Roberts, purveyor of the DDT. One of the best finishes in all of wrestling history. Now, Jake, as it turns out, as we'll demonstrate on Demolition Smash, he's a tag wrestler, so he can lay down for Jake. The story goes was that he was just in a match. And hello, Mrs. Marked by Wrestling. Glad you could join us. I'm going to hide your comment here, T-Man, so we get more look on the screen. So Jake was actually in a match with a local performer. I think it was Georgia Championship Wrestling, something like that. But I want to say in the 70s or early 80s. And he just has him in a front. He's just got him in a front face lock, right? And so he's trying to walk his way over to the corner when he trips. He trips, and then before you know it, whoop, bam, DDT. And to hear Jake tell the story, as soon as they go down, the crowd gasps because the guy's just had his head driven straight into the mat. And nobody had ever seen anything like that before, at least in that kind of capacity. So that being said, that is how the DDT was born and was one of the most over finishers for decades. And also you might want to say maybe the most over finisher, given that everyone does DDTs now. But Jake's was the only one that people laid down for. And you know what? It used to really bother me as a fan that it became such a common move much like, the super kick, even the power bomb, for some people. And it really bothered me. So hold on for a second, guys. However, I recently saw an interview with Jake the Snake Roberts with the great Chris Van Vliet, who's definitely who I want to be when I grow up. Whenever he moves on to things, I wish I could do his job and just hang out with wrestlers, get them to tell their stories, and like just have a good time with them. But Jake was not bothered by the commonality because he had a great perspective at his age and his experience in the business. He answered Chris when Chris asked him about the commonality of the DDT now, which was his finisher. And he's like, does that bother you? And he goes, no. And he says, why? And he goes, well, whenever someone does it, what do people say? And he's like, that's Jake the Snake's move. He goes, yes. He's like, so basically I'm putting words in his mouth now. He's like, but I've left a legacy. So when people see that, they remember me. And also more often than not, they think I did it best. And what more can you ask for at Jake's point in his history, in his career, So yeah. Anyway, it's like it's interesting to me. I've never thought about it that way. I was always just so upset that people didn't respect the move, but in a way, in not respecting the move or in normalizing the move, you then create a legacy for the man. So that's why you can see things like super kicks and be like, that might be a super kick that the Young Bucks and the Usos do 30 times a match, but ain't one of them sweet chin music. Ain't one of them this guy. Because when this guy kicks you in the face, you stay down. And, that's a good way to look at it, is that protecting finishers. I do miss protecting finishers. You just don't see that as much anymore. It takes 3 finishers to win a big match, Anyway, but that's another discussion for another time, because Trick is in the building. So now we're going to see what he's got to say about Joe Hendry. And this is interesting. This reminds me, Joe Hendry just kind of has this thing. You know what? LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, it reminds me of this too. Their match at WrestleMania, that everyone cheered for everything. And sometimes that kind of thing gets on my nerves, but both of those guys were so over with the crowd that they just like everything. And I see Trick Williams and Joe Hendry going that way too, because they love to cheer Trick, even when he's bad, even when he's good, and they love to cheer Joe Hendry. So I think that's going to be a loud crowd if they ever get in there together. So here comes Trick and Booker losing his ever-loving mind. The lovely Mrs. Marked by Wrestling reminds you all, don't forget to hit the like button, everyone. This wrestling history lesson alone is worth it. And I don't give homework either. So I don't give tests and I don't give homework. Just little nuggets of wisdom and memories. All right. Here comes Trick.
Oh, maybe this microphone ain't working. Let me try it one more time.
Are we saying his name and wanting him to appear?
Calling your name all night long, but somehow your ass couldn't disappear. And you better be glad Dark State got to you before I did. No.
Saying Joe Hendry don't belong here.
But I ain't gonna lie, Joe. You got the best of me last week. You had my number. I was a little bit out of character. Some people may even say that Trick Williams crashed out.
I was kind of hoping we get a Trick crashed out chant.
I looked up the schedule. I saw you at TNA Rebellion all the way in Los Angeles. So I got you first time to come book your ass and talk about it. That's right, y'all. I came to your show and I made the Trick Williams show.
Came to your show, made it the Trick Williams show.
While I was in LA, I went to Hollywood with some of my good old friends. And in case y'all ain't heard by now, Trick Willie hitting the big screen.
Trick's hitting the big screen? What? I mean, good for him, but
season finale, I'm making my debut. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Saying I went to Hollywood and now saying you're going to be on the CW. Levels to this. Hollywood trick. He said you local talent.
While we trying to figure out your lane in this business, you look at my lane. Same lane as people like The Rock. You go. People like John Cena. Joe Hendry, you can't see me.
Mm. Trick, don't go comparing yourself to Rock and Cena right now, dude. Trick still calling out Oba. All right, who's coming out to interrupt? Oh, it's Ava. Ava.
What are you doing? Ava, I wouldn't beat you up. I need you to hit me up. Because I did some thinking about myself. I used to think that Trick Williams was NXT. But after Sunday, Trick Williams is bigger than me.
Trick Williams bigger than NXT.
I'm the biggest superstar here. And after Sunday, I'm the biggest superstar in TNA too. Joe Hendry, I hope you believe that.
Wow, biggest superstar here. Really cool.
All right, we got a super chat from A&B Convos Wrestling Edition. Well then, Allison, say his name and he appears as in response to Mrs. Marked by Wrestling. I don't even know who Trick is, but I've had Joe Hendry's song in my head for 2 weeks. Yes, she has, by the way. I can't get away with singing Whoop That Trick in this house. I believe in Joe Hendry. Oh, 25-man battle royal. They even got 25 men on the roster. Next week's a battle royal, y'all. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I don't know if I have enough figures to put up on the screen to go through that, but we can try. We can try. Julian, Roxanne, interesting pairing here.
I understand now. You are right. The prodigy and the beautiful loveless together.
Why is Stephanie and Julia's locker right next to each other, though? I mean, isn't that kind of that's just asking for a problem. All right, everybody, just calm down. Calm down. Hank and Tank are in the building. Honk, honk. You even got Booker now, man, going honk, honk. I like it, man. Okay. These guys, man. Dude, slapping their bellies is like Kamala. Like, that is. These guys are wilding out. I love them. The Belly Bandits. Is that an actual nickname, Vic Joseph? But yeah, the tag team champs are in the house, and they've got Briggs and Inamura. Inamura, by the way, a great tricking of Ava last week to get this tag title shot. Said that he was going back to Japan and just asked it for a going away present. And then after Ava walked off, he's like, I'm not actually leaving. I'm not actually going to Japan. 25 guys. So yeah, Justin, good point here. We see some TNA and AAA guys in the 25 men. I mean, because I can maybe, if you're including tag teams and already other other heavyweight title contenders. 25 is a big number. Yes, everybody getting on board the Hank and Tank train. Hank and Tank slowly growing on me. Honestly, I think I love them. Yes, we're all here for Hank and Tank. They are an object lesson, an illustration of the power of never giving up. No matter how backed into a corner or booked into a corner you think you might be, if you really just believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, and apply yourself, you can accomplish things. Much like one Dave Bautista, who started in the wrestling industry at kind of an advanced age for being a pro wrestler. He said, listen to Dave Bautista back when I had hair, back when I had that weird belly button tattoo. I started wrestling in my late 30s to early 40s, and I still main evented WrestleMania, and I still beat Triple H. And low-key the best wrestler turned actor in Hollywood. I have the receipts to prove it. Both acting quality and box office receipts. Dwayne who? John who? Roddy who? Andre who? Anyway, it's never too late, guys. It's never too late to apply yourself. Never too late to believe in your abilities. But you do that thing. Hank and Tank, yeah. I mean, the funny thing about Hank and Tank is they're like, what if every second tier tag team in WWF and WCW and ECW actually succeeded? Because they gave me Public Enemy vibes or high voltage vibes. And so I love to see them succeed. I love them just kind of leaving it all in the ring every week when they go in there. But yeah, so I'm loving it. Their stand and deliver match was great, T-Man. I agree with that. George saying this is the first time Io Sky is on NXT. Under that name for sure. I mean, she had that run as Io Shirai before coming up to the main roster. But yeah, absolutely. The history with Marked by Wrestling action figures is my new favorite PBS morning show. Hey, man, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. What can I say? So we can absolutely do this stuff. Dossie, did you see Roxanne introducing Julia to Waffle House? Yes, I did. I love seeing wrestlers I love seeing anybody discover the Waffle House because so I live on Pacific time now. I grew up in the Southeast where there was a Waffle House on every corner. They had Waffle Houses like they have street tacos out here in LA. So you could throw a rock and hit one, and whenever I see someone who didn't live around a Waffle House discover a Waffle House, it's just a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. And to see Julia, someone of her pedigree and talent and international flavor, to discover Waffle House and enjoy it it's a great day. It's a great day. Good question, Dossie. A&B has something to say. Well, just wait a minute, brother. No Hollywood movies ever talk the box office gem of No Holds Barred, brother. What's that smell? Dookie. No Holds Barred, an all-time classic. Half the thanks, or a third of the thanks to Hulk Hogan, but a massive thanks to Zeus Tiny Lister, a.k.a. Debo, a.k.a. one of the great movie villains of the 90s. Also, not for nothing, go back and watch No Holds Barred and see, I don't have a Terry Funk action figure, but go see a cameo from Terry Funk as one of the tough guys in the bar who accuses the TV networks of having teeny wangers. That's what the script says. Teeny wangers. All right. Okay. Well, now we're getting a shot here. I can't count fast enough, but I see Swipe Right in there. I see Eddie Thorpe. I see No Quarter Catch Crew. I see Lexus King. I see Tyreek and Tavion. Okay, so there's tag teams in that. Tag teams and factions in that battle royal as well. Hulk Hogan did a television show called Thunder in Paradise. No need to remind me. I remember those dark TNT days, man. I remember them well. Obafemi.
He doesn't quite understand yet. That doesn't matter if I face him one more time, 1 million times. At Battleground, the title is still on the shoulders of Oba.
Obafemi said, "You can ask Doctor Strange. 14 million possibilities. Undertaker's here." Hey. He's telling Obafemi he's the big dog, basically. Oh. Okay. Well, those dudes are big. Look at how tall they are next to Oba. I've never really seen that. Seen them up close. Okay. Taker. Okay. It's like, this is your yard now. Okay, man. Man, okay. Well, Taker's LFG team showing up on NXT already. Have you guys watching LFG? Is that season over already? Like, did Taker's team already win? Because I know they were going to say that, you know, the winners of the show would go to NXT. That's wild. All right. Well, Inamura and Briggs making their entrance now. Not expecting to see Undertaker backstage. Okay. But you know what? This is how I like to see the legends show up. So take note, Dwayne. Take note, Cena later on. Like, Taker's doing it the right way now. He's got, yes, Allison, the LFG is like the voice for wrestling, 100%. That's how I've been referring to it. And Undertaker is one of the coaches, and those guys who just showed up were part of his group. But that's good legend work now, because the rosters are so stacked. He is putting a boost behind some of these rookies. He's respecting the current top of the talent. He's accomplishing a lot of things without centering himself in the conversation. Man, and Inamura, man, listen, he has also grown on me. I'm not sure. I don't want to see Hank and Tank lose the belts anytime soon. But man, I want to see Inamura do something. And I know this is going to sound a little disrespectful, but like, if you could even give Inamura the Speed Championship or something, like just a little validation somewhere to show to everybody that he's like, no Miz puns intended, but like, he's here to play, you know, like he is like, I like him a lot. He's winning me over. That match he had with Ivar on Speed, you know, the last tournament they did was just a colossal 3 minutes of meat. It was awesome. It was like an Arby's sandwich. It was just meat everywhere. They have the meats. So, can I see someone from Undertaker's team joining Dark State? I'm going to say no. I mean, it could happen for sure. But I think Dark State is at a point now where if they're going to have someone join, it has to be someone more established than them. If they add more members, I don't want those guys to be the veterans of the group. You know what I mean? So I think they should either stay as they are or add somebody like an Ava as, you know, a heel turned manager, or you know, we were thinking about Trick and Javon and stuff in previous weeks. Something like that. All right, they're working in tandem here. Here we go. Bam. Tandem offense by Hank and Tank. All right. Man, Corey Graves really putting Tank over on commentary, just saying, I remember him from catering at SmackDown and how he thought he was going to get eaten alive, but he has survived and thrived, and now, he's a champion. It's not every day you hear Corey put somebody over that good on commentary. That must be really impressing backstage. Okay, so Inamura with a Gunther-like chop there. And I didn't know Inamura was from Pro Wrestling Noah as well. I mean, obviously he's from Japan, but I didn't know he's on loan from Noah. So little wrestling terminology. This is marked by wrestling. Catering is just shorthand terminology to denote the area for guys who don't get used on TV, and they just sit back where the food is and snack during the show because they're not booked for the show. They're not going to be on TV. And so catering is sometimes used as a derogatory descriptor for someone who's on the roster but never sees any playing time, basically. It's the wrestling equivalent of being a bench warmer, basically. So they call it, sometimes people will call you a catering world champ, or, they're back in catering. Which is interesting that wrestling presents itself as part sport, part entertainment, and catering is actually more of an industry term for movies and TV shows. Well, they call it crafty, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So there you are. Catering, ladies and gentlemen. If you never knew, now you know. And knowing is half the battle. So, yeah. Man, hard hitting match. I got to give respect. Give respect to the guys here. All right, back to comments. Crafty, yeah, they call it crafty on TV sets and movie sets, which sounds so crafty. I don't know. There's something so light about that description. By the way, everybody, just in case, as we're climbing to Super Chat status, you can support the channel below through Cash App or through Venmo. Shout out to A&B Combos for their support tonight so far in their Super Chatting. And glad to feature your comments on screen. Just note it in your comment when you leave one if you have supported the channel, and I'll confirm that and be glad to put you up on the screen and feature your comments as we're doing our lives. So we didn't really do predictions for this match, guys, but if anybody wants to share as it is, I definitely have Hank and Tank retaining here. I'm not even sure. Yeah, it's a tag title match. But yeah, we'll see. Justin with a great insight here. I want to see Rusev and Inamura in the future. Yes, sir. That could be a brutal match. I wouldn't mind seeing them as a tag team either, to be sure. Now, that is a little 80s of me, just taking the non-American heels and just putting them together. Don't want to do that. However, Rusev and Inamura would be an entertaining match. Briggs and Inamura. So yeah, that's who you've got, Justin. Hank and Tank, T-Man. Also want to highlight, Mrs. Marked by Wrestling says, watch a bunch of Marked by Wrestling in your spare time to inch it closer to Super Chat status. Yeah, if you guys, listen, for real, if you guys have devices or whatever, that you watch a lot of YouTube during the day, or you just have it on in the background while you're doing stuff, I've got a playlist on my channel that has all of our videos on it. You're welcome to help us get through, get up to Super Chat status, which we're working really hard on. What we're trying to achieve now, you have two things you have to achieve to get to Super Chat status with your channel. One is subscribers, and the other is viewed hours. And thanks to all y'all's help, we definitely have the subscribers checked off. But at the same time, we still got to get those hours pumped up. We got to pump up those numbers. We got rookie numbers right now. And so any little bit you guys can help throughout the week, you're doing it right now just by being here. And I thank you so much for that. But anytime during the week, if you want to throw a playlist on in the background, I've got one with all my videos that'll help us get there quicker and quicker to where we can crown a Super Chat champion, where we can get memberships and I can do more fun things for you guys. So just want to throw that out there. We appreciate the community we have so much as our baby channel is coming along each and every week. So thank you guys again so much for all your support. But Hank is left alone, and we're getting a big boot into a German suplex. Hank is so tall, he couldn't extend his legs or else he would have been in the ropes. Man. Was that a Green Lantern tattoo Briggs has? I bet he and Hurricane hang out backstage. Man, Justin Hallencrane just wanting to see a United Nations match up in here. Inamura, Rusev, Oba, Ilja, and Gunther. My goodness gracious. That would be it'd be hard hitting for sure. Absolutely. Throw Jacob Fatu in there too for fun. Man, clothesline off the top, right in time to tag into Tank. And Tank is fired up. Man, flapjack onto Inamura. Tank said, let's go. Let's meet in the middle. Honk, honk. Oh, no, Hank got busted. Now Tank in there alone with Inamura. He got his shot at Inamura. No, no, no. 1, 2, only 2. Ooh, Tank got escaped that one. Now it's Briggs. Is he going for a choke slam? Tank shakes a choke slam. Oh, man, he's tagging back to Inamura. Tank's in trouble, y'all. Man, brutal clothesline. Inamura, man, revved up for that splash. 1, 2. Hank is back in with the save. Woo! I thought we lost it there, guys. Man, the elevation on Inamura's splash. He was Ultimate Warrior in that top rope, ready to spring off. He said, load up the rocket fuel, Hank and Tank, as I splash off the top rope. Oh, boy. Double team maneuver here. Oh, chop to the back. It's going for another. Oh, no, miscommunication. Tank's going to take advantage. Elbow. All right, tags in Hank. Hank's got him up in the shoulder. Oh, boom. Colliding power slam. 2. Hank and Tank retain. Tell you what, man, that was a great match. They really kicked into 5th gear right towards the end. Y'all keep sleeping on Hank and Tank. Like, you keep sleeping on Hank and Tank like Brutus the Barber Beefcake has put you in the sleeper hold. He's strutting and cutting and then got you in the sleeper hold. And then you start underestimating these guys. But it's time to wake up, dude. It's time to wake up, brother. Speaking of waking up, who has joined us? But 3 Diglets. Oh, yeah, man. Welcome, Diglets. Glad you're here. Catch crew hanging out backstage. Randy Orton's little cousin. Tavion Heights and Ren Sinclair. Uh-oh. There's been multiple factions tonight. Miles Bourne says, I'm going in that battle royal, baby. Tavion too. But I guess Charlie Dempsey is being left out of the cold on that. There's a multiple faction friction going on this week. We already had Metaphor have a amicable split up earlier tonight backstage, and now No Quarter Catch Crew may be going in different directions. The family also going in different directions. We are dissolving factions left and right on NXT. Three Diglets just in time for the gambit of the WWE. Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself. Y'all just make sure y'all remember what happened here today. Glad you're here, Diglets. Yes, Miles Bourne going to do great things. I joke about the Randy Orton comparisons, but to be compared to Randy Orton in your rookie years is really the highest praise, because what makes Randy so special is the intangible instincts he has in the ring. Randy might be one of the most taken for granted professional wrestlers in history, because he looks like a wrestler, he acts like a wrestler. He doesn't move like a luchador. He doesn't move like a cruiserweight. He doesn't do crazy stuff other than a stint in 2004 in that feud with Mick Foley he had. But Randy Orton is just one of those things. He's just one of those guys that I feel like knows more about wrestling than forgotten more about wrestling than we've ever learned. I put myself at the top of that list too. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, Miles Bourne, bright future ahead of him. All right. George saying Jordan Grace and Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez and Julia gonna cook. I think. Well, what do we got now? We got half an hour before the end of the show. If all we got those ladies left to duke it out, I think we're gonna have a good time in that main event, because all four of those ladies, and this is no disrespect to La Primera, all four of those ladies can go in the ring, and all four of those ladies are like hard hitting. Like, I'm not here to do crowd participation moves either. I'm here to wrestle you. I'm here to knock you out. I'm here to throw you down. So like, all four of those ladies can go. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is Marked by Wrestling. I feel like I just got to know and like the family as they were betraying each other. It was too late to the party. You know what, though, Mrs. Marked by Wrestling? I think you may get into Chase University, which is a faction that just reunited in the past couple of weeks. They're not the same as the family, but there is a sense of community in that group that's kind of endearing. I'm curious to see what the new version of Chase University does as well. Justin says, I can see Dempsey joining Dark State. Now, that would be interesting. I feel like he would give a different personality to that group, because there is something chaotic about Dark State. And Dempsey, for all of his intensity, for all of his gift, sorry guys, hiccups, for all of his intensity, for all of his giftedness, chaos is not something that I really see in him. But if he can pull it off, he'd be absolutely fantastic. All right. Water break for Marked by Wrestling, because we can't be hiccuping our way through the main event. Yeah, George. Rickardy, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. We have audio from Dark State, but just a shot of the crowd. Where's the video? This is embarrassing. They're bragging about beating up Joe Hendry. Oh gosh, yeah. That, I don't know if all of y'all saw it on your feed or not, but I heard Dark State cutting a promo, but the camera was just scanning the crowd, like, but not like on purpose, like B-roll type footage. So yeah, I don't know. Talking about Chase U. No, that's the preppy people. No, speaking of, here comes Chase U. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, we got a whole classroom here full of people.
forced me to let go of people without building a university from the ground up. And I wasn't sure that I'd grow up from these people. Never say never. Because today is a new semester. New agenda.
Today is a new semester. Oh gosh, these two guys are late to class on the first day. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Man, the teacher's crashing out. Man, you know what, though? Sometimes students press your buttons in the classroom and you want to cuss them out a little bit. So respect to Andre Chase for letting the snitch have it in the classroom. So here we go. We got back to Sol Ruka and Zarya. There's Kalani.
When I was champion, I would have been that title every single match. And I thought he did the same, but I was wrong. And the audacity, you could put any woman in the locker room. Instead, you put the girl who has more distraction than you can count. Some champion you are.
Okay, look, Kalani, if you have an issue with how I carry this title, then you can step up whenever you want.
Great. Next week, you're going to
Hey, whoa. Soul is not defending that title against you. I wasn't talking to you. So you busted your ass in that battle match, put hours and hours into finally becoming a champion. She's not throwing around title shots just like that. Throwing around. So if you want to step up to Soul, you're gonna have to step up to me. But
Okay. Zarya just sitting here saying that you ain't getting the title shot unless you go through me first. So Zarya and Kalani Jordan next week. We see Joe Hendry and Hank and Tank backstage.
First, I need to get my hands on Dark State. Joe, let me know. Hang it, Tank. We believe, brother. As far as Dark State goes, just say, and Tank are back.
Okay. Hank and Tank have offered to join up with Joe Hendry for a 6-man tag against Dark State. I'm here to see that. And Zarya totally stepping in on Kalani, saying, "No, you don't just get to claim title shots. You have to come with me first. You have to come after me first." As Roxanne Perez makes her entrance, one thing I have to say about the backstage locker room segments, which I don't know why it even upset me, even in the slightest, but I saw, it was probably a month ago at this point, like a backstage photo of Lola Vice in the locker room, and found out that locker room scene is just a set. There's not actually a locker room. It's not actually a locker room in the Performance Center that they use for those scenes. It's just like a TV show set. And I noticed it this time because in the first segment, when it was Zarya and Roxanne talking, you have the nameplates on the lockers, because I had mentioned, why is Stephanie Vaquer and Julia have lockers right next to each other? And then Roxanne was sitting in hers. Well, this time they changed Stephanie and Julia's lockers to Zarya and Sol Ruka, but they forgot to change Roxanne's. Roxanne's is still there. And so I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay. So whatever. It's not a huge deal, but it just caught my attention. Anyway, Julia makes her entrance. This is a deep cut, but Julia reminds me of, like, what if Glacier actually worked as a gimmick in the mid 90s WCW, the pre NWO WCW days. Since she dyed her hair blue, at least, it's very, very glacial presentation, but I respect it. All right, and then we will expect the entrances of Io Sky and her partner for the evening, Jordan Grace. So, all coming soon. Okay, now, by the way, just want to invite everybody to stick around tonight after we're done with the show. We'll be moving over to another video on my channel where A&B Combos will be joining me around about 15 minutes after NXT is over. And we're going to be discussing the Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker faction and its potential future, some comparisons to older factions, things like that. So please join us. Again, it'll be on Marked by Wrestling. It'll just be in another video, and we'll start that at about a quarter after the hour. So, yeah. Yeah, Three Diglets. Julia did just randomly go heel. It was strange. Like, her and Stephanie were friends. Stephanie beat her. There was all those rumors that like Julia was hurt, but she really wasn't. It sounds like maybe she wasn't. And like they just wanted to put the belt on Stephanie because she was more over. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there. But yeah, and all of a sudden she come back and now she's like, I want my title back. And I'm a heel too. And I don't know. I didn't quite follow the logic there all that much, but it is what it is. So, yeah, man. So next week is really shaping up. We're going to have 25-man battle royal for the number one contender. We're going to have possibly a 6-man tag with Joe Hendry and Hank and Tank versus Dark State. We're going to have, there was another match set up, Kalani Jordan and Zarya. Y'all remind me, was there another match set up? I want to say Ricky Saints had another match set up already, but maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was somebody else. But nevertheless, man, things are moving right along. For NXT runs a pretty tight ship on their run times for their show, and I got to give them credit. They do a great job of balancing the card you're going to see tonight and promoting the card you're going to see next week. Like they just run a tight show, and they still run recaps and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, it's a great example of what you can do with a tight 2-hour show. Because, Raw on Netflix, they work with 2.5 hours. SmackDown is still running 3 hours. The PLEs are longer, but man, it is a tightly booked show. So shout out to HBK and the crew that he works with and how their production time. Like, granted, they've had a couple of faux pas in the crowd tonight with the camera work, but hey, nobody's perfect. But the way they have the shows blocked, I think is just really, really well done. George, yes, I have heard that SmackDown is going back to 2 hours. I heard that when they made the move back to USA, actually, that was always going to be that was always going to be the case eventually, that they would go back to 2 hours, but they were doing USA a solid since they were losing Raw and losing that 3-hour time. But I don't know when that switch is supposed to happen. Justin says Glacier should be the manager to Jade or Julia. I wouldn't mind that as a one-time thing, but I don't need to see that full time. I think both of those women don't need no man. But seriously, they are over without a manager in any case, I think. Although there's a part of me that thinks Paul Heyman could do something well with Jade Cargill, or Julia, honestly. But his affinity for beast wrestlers, he could do a lot with Jade. And I'm sure he sees a killer in Julia too. Could do something with her as well. Yes, HBK doing a great job running NXT. He's just a sexy boy. He's not your boy toy. Boy toy. All right. Just a little sampler for you guys. Just a little appetizer. We do theme song karaoke. We do history lessons with action figures. We do deep dives on the history of finishing moves. All kinds of fun here at Marked by Wrestling for NXT. So yeah, anyway, I see no quarter catch crew. Actually, I see Dempsey in the group. I see the Culling. I see Dempsey. I see Eddie Thorpe. I see Javon Evans. Yeah, so there's a lot of guys in there. Kalani Jordan and Zarya for now that they're not saying it's a number one contender match for facing Sol Ruka, but it seemed to be the case for Kalani if she wins. Yeah, 6-man tag confirmed for next Tuesday, baby. Joe Hendry and Hank and Tank. Not since the Shield, a greater group of 3 against Darks. I tried to say it with a straight face, but I couldn't. Against Dark State. That'll be a lot of fun. And Dark State hasn't lost yet either, man. I don't know. Justin, I was trying to look quickly. I didn't see Dark State in that 25-man battle royal. Since 3 of them are in that 6-man tag, unless they're pulling double duty, I don't know if they will or not. But they could just show up as well. All right. Jordan's already here. Here comes Io Sky. Possibly one of the very few Def Rebel theme songs I love. Io Sky's. I just feel like I don't know. Just feel like the Yakuza's about to sneak up on you. Like, actually, you know what that song reminds me of? Okay, time for a movie reference. Did anybody ever see, it was the 2005, 2006 film Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx? There's a scene where Tom Cruise, who's an assassin, he's a hitman in that movie, infiltrates a club and basically shoots up the club. Reminds me of the music that was playing in that scene, or this song could have been playing in that scene. Definitely reminds me of like there's some people about to get dealt with whenever I hear Io Sky's music. So anyway, let's see. A couple comments from Mrs. Marked by Wrestling. If Paul Heyman's got a thing for beast wrestlers, no shade to Seth, but he does not fit the bill. What do you mean? I don't fit the bill. What's not beast about this? I don't get it. No, 100% agree. Braun Breaker though, absolute dog for sure, absolute beast. And Io Sky deserves all the pop. She's great in the ring, has fun personality to boot. Yeah, totally 100% love Io Sky. And I've really gotten into her crowd taunt when she basically springboards a cartwheel, a front flip off the top of her head and starts doing this number. I don't know why. I just love that. I love that so much. Justin asks, can you imagine KO and Heyman's faction? On one end, I think it would be amazing, but on the other end, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to stick with no on that one just for a couple of reasons. One, Kevin Owens doesn't need Heyman's help. He's good enough on the mic on his own, and he and Liv Morgan were MVPs of last year in the way they just carried programs on their back. Also, I'm believing his injury story now at this point, and I would like, man, Io just doing flips, double drop kick, knocks them both down. Get Io's hyped up. Here we go. They're getting ready. She's pointing at Jordan. Okay, she's tagging Jordan in. And then lastly about KO, I'm not going to say too many things, but I would like to see that group be more future focused than past focused. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Man, somersault senton off of Jordan's shoulders right onto Roxy. I like Jordan's color scheme tonight. Kind of a turquoise and gold. Not unlike what Javon Evans was wearing recently. Oh, Julia with the reversal. Io has been getting so much love lately, and she deserves every last bit of it. She's really earned it. Yeah. Man, Jordan just slamming Julia on the ground. Could I see KO getting his own faction when he returns? Yeah, he could. I mean, honestly, I thought before Paul Heyman aligned himself with Seth, I thought that Seth, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens could have been a great faction themselves because they were all guys who kind of hated Roman in his own way, and then by virtue of that, hated people who aligned with him. But they didn't go that way, and that's okay. But now I just don't know who KO would bring into his group at this point, but we'll see what happens. Man. Booker T always putting Roxanne Perez over since he helped train her, regardless of what face or heel alignment she has. Gotta love that. Vic Joseph surrounded by Booker T on one side and Corey Graves on the other. Booker T can't criticize Roxanne for personal reasons, and Corey Graves is defending her because she's a heel, and Vic is just like, okay, guys. So funny. Oh, Jordan going with a double Northern Lights. Wow. Man, these feats of strength that Jordan gets to pull off in these matches, so much fun. All right, and here comes Springboard EO. Oh, man. EO's drop kick is so much fun. Here we go. Yeah. Boom. Every time. Pop that every time. Without fail. All right, going for a roll up. Nope. We got EO and Julia in the ring now. Double underhook. Whoa, almost looked like a Tiger Driver for a second. But Jordan tags back in from the corner. Jordan and Julia now throwing. Ooh, rough. Quick tags for EO and Jordan. Justin, who do you think Booker T loves more, Roxy or Vicaire? Oh my gosh, we've got a hard. Oh my gosh, what a spot there. So EO is on Stephanie Vicaire. Sorry, EO is on Jordan Grace's shoulders, but Julia and Roxy pulled her legs out, and she ended up getting throat stunned right on the top rope on the way down. Brutal spot there. So who do I think Booker T loves more, Roxy or Vicaire? Well, I think he loves them differently. In all genuineness, I think Booker loves Roxy like a daughter. He does not love Stephanie Vicaire like a daughter. He loves her, at least on camera in storyline, loves her a bit inappropriately. So it's hard to compare the two. I don't think he loves them the same. But at the end of the day, I bet he probably does love Roxy more, though. Just how proud he is of her and seeing her come up from, being a rookie to being who she is now and the future she still has ahead of her. I'm sure he's kind of like a proud papa with Roxy. And if you ever have, if any of you in the chat have ever get the privilege of being a parent, that level of pride is really, nothing really compares to it when you experience it, so it's just a different kind of love. But good question.
To etching her name once again as a champion branch, hooking the way, and a near fall press really the team tonight, great. It builds respect, and that's a great match.
Man, yeah. So did we ask who do you guys think are going to take this match tonight? Because it can really go either way. I think we've kind of discussed it earlier, but I feel like EO and Jordan will end up taking it, either going over on Roxy and Julia, or even by interference if that happens. So we'll see what happens. George calling for Jordan and EO. That's fair. Fast-paced action between EO and Roxy. I mean, it was so. I sound frustrated when I sigh like that, but what's so interesting about like all four women in the ring, like there's so many, and we haven't even talked about like Rhea and Stephanie, and there's so many potential feuds to be had. We haven't even gotten a proper Rhea and Bianca feud yet either. And so it is just an embarrassment of riches with WWE's women's division right now. And how many fresh feuds. And I'm just curious. I'm curious how you guys feel about that. But also, like, it's been cool to see some of these NXT ladies show up on Raw. But also, I'm not in a huge hurry for all of them to get there at the same time. I kind of want them, like, just these four women in the ring, and then you add Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. I'm not even getting into Jade and Naomi and stuff yet either, or Tiffany Stratton. But that's 7 women. Do you know how many WrestleManias you can get through just by pacing yourself through those feuds? Like, that would be wild. Oh, man. Double underhook suplex into the backbreaker, and Io just collapses after giving that to Roxy. And we still have, Zarya, Solruka. Asuka, I think, is going to return at some point. Kairi Sane is working her way back. Like, and listen, Liv Morgan has earned her way back into that. We talked about her, doing a movie role here soon. But man, like, there's so many good performers right now. And they could mix it up anyway. And Alexa Bliss hasn't even been doing anything right now. Nikki Cross has been, on the bench lately. There's just so many to choose from. I know I didn't mention any of the horsewomen when I said that, but wow. The German suplex and Northern Lights together. That was Jordan Grace is so strong. And now she's firing up. She's getting ready to fire up on Julia here. Got her in the backslide position, but rams her into the corner first. Twice. 3 times. Io Sky tags in. Now she got her in the gory special position. What's she going to do? Oh, wow. Double stomp from the gory special position. That was awesome. Oh, man. Roxanne off the top onto Jordan Grace, onto Io and Julia breaking up the pin. Justin, I could see Julia teaming up with Asuka and Kairi, but like, I also don't, after seeing WrestleMania and seeing Io get in the ring with Rhea and Bianca, I don't want to relegate these Japanese women to just each other. I'm sure there are fans who follow things like Stardom and New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah and all that stuff, and probably want to see some of that stuff revisited. But man, let's spice it up. Let's make a casserole here, guys. Meteora in the corner from Io to Julia, just walking on. But Roxanne, oh man, off the top, there was a blind tag, and now she's about to Frankensteiner off the top, tagging into Julia. Knocking Jordan out of the ring. It might be lights out for Io. Headbutt. Super kick. And here comes Julia in a power slam position. Tag made to Roxy. Airplane spin from the power slam position. Michinoku driver. Here comes Roxy. Springboard lion salt. Jordan's in to break it up. Now Julia trying to isolate Jordan, but Jordan's not going easily. Well earned. This is awesome chance from tonight's tag team main event. Julia again with the headbutt out on the apron. Now she's got Jordan out on the apron. Man, these J sounds are killing me. Oh, spinning back. Oh, what a sequence of reversals out on the apron. Man, they're still fighting hard, Julia and Jordan, man. They're just cat fight rolling out on the outside now. So now it's just down to Roxy and Io one-on-one in the ring. And then Io's ready to take advantage, but Roxy roll up, reversal roll up. Oh, Mahi Straw Cradle. You don't see that. Into the victory roll. And another reversal. Man, oh man. Plenty of reversals going on. Man, okay. European uppercut, technically. Asian uppercut, Pacific uppercut. Oh, reversal in the corner. Pop rocks? No, reversed. Oh, knee to the face. Super kick. Spin kick. Io's in that stomp position. Roxy talking trash. She's going to go for the pop rocks. Oh, backflip out of it. And then kick to the face. Io going up. We're going to watch the best moonsault you've ever seen. Here she comes. And boom. Not a partner in sight. That's a 3 count, and that's y'all. Io Sky and Jordan win. Io Sky pinning Roxy right in the middle of the ring. And listen, the main roster world champion going over, ain't a thing wrong with that, okay? That's why she's the world champion. But great showing, great homecoming by Io Sky. You love to see it. And that was as you would say, a high-octane tag main event. Like, these ladies didn't slow down. They kept it moving. They kept going. They worked their butts off in lots of entertaining spots. Nothing absurdly crazy or dangerous, at least it appeared that way. And they just kept it moving. The conditioning in that match was so impressive. I got tired watching it almost. Not because I was bored, because I was just like out of breath, man. Like, that was great, great stuff. All right. I think we're probably ending with Io Sky celebrating in the ring. They're still doing the recap. So while they're doing the recap, drop your ratings for the show and your marked moment tonight. So tell me your rating for tonight's show and your marked moment, and let's have it out, guys. Let's hear it, because we'll be ending a little more on time tonight to get ready for our next live in just a few minutes with A and B combos. Which, while you guys are dropping that in, I'm going to give you guys the link to that as well, so you can jump on it from here. Stephanie Vaquera is here. All right, she's ready to defend. Julia versus Jordan Grace next week. Okay, Julia versus Jordan Grace, the number 1 contenders match next week. Here we go. Man, we got a battle royal. We got a number 1 contenders match. We got all kinds of stuff coming. Yes. All right, Io Sky celebrating alone in the ring. Great homecoming tonight for Io. You love to see it. By the way, here's the YouTube link in the chat to go over and wait. We're going to start in 15 minutes for our next live, and where we'll be talking about the Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker faction and go through there. Let's go ahead and go through a few things here and see what we got to share. Justin Helen Crane gives it a 10 out of 10, and that is just to Yeet. And George Lewis giving it an 8.5. T-Man says 7 out of 10 for me because Metaphor broke up, and that was my marked moment. Respect, T-Man, respect. And respect to you for choosing a moment that hurt you as your marked moment because you know that had an impact. So shout out to you, T-Man. Thank you. Justin saying Dark State's attack on Joe Hendry and the tag team championship match. We ride for Hank and Tank at Marked by Wrestling. So absolutely, my brother. Thank you, Justin, for sharing. All right. Let's see. Mrs. Marked by Wrestling says the moment starting out with Joe Hendry. Also, that was the only part I was actually home to see. That's true. Mrs. Marked by Wrestling having to run all over the city today. So much appreciation for her participation in this evening's events. All right. Tyrell Breed, Black Panther Gaming says 10 out of 10, 8.5. Okay. Well, high marks all around. And Anthony gives us an 8 out of 10 in the main event. All right. You know what? I'll give tonight an 8 out of 10 as well. And I think, man, what was tonight's marked moment? That's a good question. I'm going to say the main event. I think the main event is worth it. Was worth being the marked moment tonight. Always check out the post section on the channel. Later on tonight, I'll have another marked moment poll in there for you to vote on. And of course, Mrs. Marked by Wrestling says loved it via the chat. So 9 out of 10. Thank you, dear. And Justin saying wrestling is loved and wrestling is hated, but also wrestling is forever loved. Amen to that, Justin. Amen to that. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Again, just going to throw this guy up here right now. Hop on over to there, and if you'll wait patiently, give us about 15 minutes to get settled in and started, and we will see you in a bit to talk a little Paul Heyman, to talk a little Braun Breaker, and to talk a little Seth Rollins. I will not do that for the next stream. I promise you. I can't hold that voice for that long. But go there for go to the link, and we'll be there in just a few minutes. Marked by Wrestling, A&B Combos. It is the coalition discussing the A story in wrestling right now. Paul Heyman's faction with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, the new dangerous alliance, if you will. And we'll see you guys soon. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to be a mark. We say it every week because it's worth saying. Don't forget to be a mark because being a mark means you believe, and believing makes wrestling better. See you guys in just a few. Have a great night. See you in 15.